How's it going, everyone? Foxxy here, and I'm bringing you a review of The Last of Us exclusively for the PS3. Now, this was one of those games I saw, and I was kind of like, oh, well, it looks pretty cool, but I never really thought about buying it. No real reason as to why or anything either. And I guess half the reason I got the game in the first place was because of my friends going absolutely batshit crazy over how amazing it was, so I just said, okay, fine, I'll buy it. Now, people may find this absolutely appalling, but I was a little hesitant, just slightly hesitant in buying or playing this game because of the developer Naughty Dog. Reason why is, well, I just don't like Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, or Uncharted. I know, I'm crazy, whatever, but honestly, I just never really liked them. So I guess I kind of thought, well, maybe I won't like this game either. So the story is something I'm only going to briefly discuss because, quite frankly, I hate spoiling shit. Anyway, the setting takes place in a post-apocalyptic United States in 2033. What happened? Well, 20 years ago, there was and still is an outbreak of some sort of disease that basically turns people into zombies. You play as a man named Joel, and you come across a 14-year-old girl named Ellie, and your main goal is to get her to a group of people called the Fireflies. On your journey, you have to fight not only the zombies and other weird creatures, but other survivors as well. That's about all I'm going to say about the plot, so let's talk about some other aspects of the story. Now, how long the story lasts just really depends on how you play it. For me, it took a little over 10 hours, and I wasn't rushing through the game at all. I took my time to find supplies and stuff. However, I could definitely see it taking probably a little less than a day's worth of time to actually go and find all the collectibles and all that shit if you want the trophies or whatever. So the game is surprisingly lengthy, and I'm glad because it's not some bullshit 4-hour campaign like I'm used to seeing nowadays. Also, while I'm still on the subject of the campaign, you know, when I play campaigns, most of the time I just don't get emotionally invested in the characters, or sometimes I'll even get so bored with everything that I'll skip the cutscenes. Not in this game. I was so attached to Joel and Ellie emotionally, and there were parts where, believe it or not, I almost cried because the story is just so intense, and it's definitely something I never expected to feel in a video game.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
Yeah, you sure did.
I feel sick.
And you just hang back like I told you to.
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid.
The graphics in The Last of Us are really well made. I don't think they are the best I've ever seen, to be completely honest with you guys, but either way, it looks really, really good. However, the big cutscenes, or whatever you want to call them, look absolutely phenomenal. And I love the atmosphere in this game. I think it's pretty much perfect. It has this really creepy, yet in a way elegant tone throughout the entire game. Like when you walk into an open field, or just some random creepy house, you almost kind of like expect something to pop out and scare the shit out of you, and in most cases it doesn't even happen. It's just the way they made everything look. It's like I was on my toes the entire game, which hasn't happened since Fatal Frame for the PS2. The main character Joel is voiced by Troy Baker, and Ellie is voiced by Ashley Johnson. They did the best acting in a video game I've ever seen, bar none. Even the minor characters did a surprisingly really good job as well. It doesn't ever come across as scripted or phony. The way they speak and just the emotion in their voices was almost like they were actually in these situations in real life. It's that good. Another thing I really enjoyed was the sound effects and background music. Like the graphics, the music has this really dark, creepy tone to it, and that adds to the overall mood of the game. I think the best example of this is when you're in this very dark building and you turn on the generator and hear all the infected get pissed and start searching for you. Everything about this was incredibly frightening and heart-pounding, which, again, the last time this happened to me was with Fatal Frame. So yeah, the gameplay in The Last of Us is really fucking good, like shockingly good. It's not like Uncharted either, I think, because it's slower paced and involves more stealth and, well, you barely have really any ammo unless you're playing on like easy mode. So you really need to pick your shots wisely. And that's different. I'm used to fast-paced shooters with basically infinite ammo and godlike health regeneration. You don't get that with this game. I mean, sure, at times it does get a little fast-paced, but not on a consistent level. Also, the game is linear, however, it's not to the point of where the game basically tells you exactly where to go. You have to do so on your own and solve puzzles every now and then with little or no help. And what's also nice about this is it gives you a chance to really explore your surroundings. The point in that is to find ammo, supplies, and other collectibles. So for example, let's say to advance in the story you gotta go through a building in front of you. Check around it first because I guarantee you'll find something useful. So in a way the game has a lot of open world elements, however it's still a linear game. There's also a good amount of weapons in the campaign that vary from a couple pistols, a shotgun, bow and arrows, and strangely enough a flamethrower. All of them can be upgraded as well. How? Well, if you're playing this game and actually taking the time to search buildings, you'll come across parts and other things that are used to upgrade weapons. The most important upgrade I think for me was to get the 2 extra holsters so that I don't need to take the time to switch weapons out of my backpack during the middle of a gunfight if I run out of ammo. The other upgrades consist of, typical shit like larger ammo capacity per mag, faster fire rate, more stopping power, the typical shit. The enemy AI is pretty good. The soldiers are definitely smart, and I've noticed at times they try to distract you, and a couple guys will run around to attempt to flank you. Really well done job, and I think the AI on the hardest difficulty is supposed to be like 10 times smarter. Though I'm not exactly sure because I haven't played on that difficulty yet, so I don't know first-hand experience. Now, the zombies fight in a completely different way. The soldiers will kind of play smart and try to trick you. Not the zombies. If they see you, they just bum rush the fuck out of you until you either kill them or escape somehow. So it's not like you can fight the zombies the same exact way you can with the soldiers.
Well, that was easier than I thought it'd be.
So I played this game on normal, and I think that's a perfect difficulty for me. I did find a couple parts kinda hard, but nothing to the point where I was getting angry for dying. And anytime I did die, it was because I made a stupid decision. So it's not like there were any bullshit deaths or anything that made me actually question how I died. I would say, unless you really aren't that great at video games, play it on normal, because if you play it on easy, it kind of ruins the whole overall experience in the game. I do have one complaint about the game overall, and that is the load times. They're just really ungodly long, and I wouldn't be surprised if it takes somewhere around 5 minutes to load a game. And the good thing about this is that it only happens once each time you load your game. So at least it doesn't happen like every other chapter or whatever. With that said, I still think it's slightly annoying. Also, this doesn't just happen in the single player, it happens in the multiplayer as well. Like when you go and load a match, it takes around like a minute or so. Not too bad, but still feels like it takes for goddamn ever. And I think the reason it's like this is because the developers made this game so that you don't install it to your hard drive. So I think because of this, it makes the game load a lot slower than it would if you were forced to install it.
Hunter, look alive. Hunter, look alive!
Bullseye.
Hold on, I can patch you up.
So finally, let's talk about the multiplayer. And to be honest, prior to playing it, I didn't give one fuck about it. I just wanted to play the damn single player, really. And I'm glad I gave it a chance because I really, really enjoy the multiplayer. It's different, you know? It's definitely not a fast-paced, in-your-face kind of arcadey shooter, but it's also not really slow-paced. It fits right in the middle. Also, it's very team-based. For the most part, you really need to have some sort of strategy, communication, and tactics to do consistently well. You can't just run into this game and play it like Call of Duty, for example. You're just going to get fucked up. So, if you're not into that kind of thing, then the multiplayer probably isn't going to be for you. But I do encourage all of you to at least try it out, because it's a lot of fun. I did say that it was very team-based, and this is very true. The thing is, if you have one team of guys who does not have mics and they're pretty good players, let's say that they're fighting against guys who are just decent, but they have great communication, I'd be willing to place my money on the decent guys with mics. Also, I refuse to play this game without a bare minimum of 2 friends. I fucking hate playing this game with random people. It's incredibly infuriating. More so than I think in any other multiplayer game I've played before. It's like, more often than not, they're the worst teammates imaginable. For example, they'll see an entire enemy team, you know, all 4 of them in like a hallway somewhere, and they'll just fucking rush at them with a pistol and die 5 times in a row doing the same thing. Just don't even try to play it alone. It's so bullshit. Anyway, the feeling I get from the multiplayer, I don't think I've ever experienced before. It's kind of like my heart is racing and I tense up when I see a guy because I know if I make the wrong move or I miss a shot, I'm probably going to die. So you really gotta be smart when you play this game. I say that because I've played a lot of shooters online that, more often than not, I always feel like I'm some sort of super soldier. Not in this game. I don't feel that way one bit. If anything, I feel just as vulnerable as anyone else does.
Over there, striker. Bullseye. That's one down.
No one comes back.
That's one down. That's it. I'm down.
Sadly, and this is like the only major critique negative thing I have with the multiplayer, there's really not that much to it. Only 2 game modes. They have basically a variation of team deathmatch and a search and destroy type mode with not that many levels. I don't know how many there are off the top of my head. I think there's like 6 of them. And not only that, I've played the multiplayer for about 13 hours or so, and I've unlocked everything. I don't know if there's planning to release more game modes or whatever in the future on a patch, DLC, whatever, but I kind of wish they had at least 1 or 2 more modes and a few more maps. I guess I'm slightly worried that I'll eventually get bored of everything because of this. I don't know if I will anytime soon because I'm still in love with the multiplayer, but again, it just slightly worries me because like I said, there's really not that much to it. The multiplayer has a loadout system that is based off points. You start out with, I think, 8 points, and the most you can get is, I believe, 13 from leveling up. How you level up, honestly, I don't really understand it at all, and I don't think any of my friends know either. Anyway, in the loadouts, you can select primary and secondaries, perks, and purchasable weapons. And what they mean by a purchasable is, during each game, you get points based off every action you do. So, if I create a bomb, heal a teammate, kill or execute a guy, I get points. You use these points to buy ammo, upgrades, armor, and purchasable weapons. That's about the multiplayer in a nutshell. It's a lot more fun than I thought it would ever be, to be honest, and I don't really like competitive multiplayer games so much, so I guess that's saying something. Either way, really enjoyable. Can't wait to see what they're going to put in the multiplayer on the DLC or whatever the hell they're doing. So that's about it, guys. Hopefully this video isn't too ungodly long for you, but there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, and you know, I reviewed a game a couple months back. It was called Spec Ops: The Line. I believe I said that the story mode in that game was the best I've played in years. Forget I said that. The Last of Us completely, without a shadow of a doubt, blows Spec Ops The Line story mode just right out of the water by leaps and bounds and whatever the hell else you can think of. And I couldn't for the life of me tell you any other game in my collection of 300 plus games, or anything that I've played in the past, that had a more enjoyable single player experience. Now, this game is not perfect by any means, but then again, I don't think a game could ever be perfect to begin with. There's a couple things I would have liked changed, like adding more variety to the multiplayer and faster loading times. However, even with those complaints, The Last of Us is still the best game I think I've ever played. And to be completely honest, I would be a little more than shocked if this game didn't get like Game of the Year or whatever, because I think it deserves Game of this generation. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
What? I don't hear anything.
Okay, double time.
They're coming.
I know.
Okay, that's good, go. You got something on your shoe.